Welcome to Car Conversation with Cloyed. I hope all is well. I really do pray that everyone is well and in good health, that you're keeping yourself safe, that you're taking care of yourself. I know that right now we're in turbulent times and things are crazy. If you are watching this video, right now we're in the midst of the COVID-19 coronavirus self-quarantine season. And so I do pray that all is well, everyone is doing well. But welcome to Car Conversation with Cloyed. And I wanted to talk about today. A conversation I would like to have is about when things don't look like you thought they would. I think this is the perfect time to do it. Where plans change. I think about the people that were graduating, those people that were going to be going to this event and doing this, and this looked like it would be different by now. Like there's seniors that will never be with their friends again for prom, and there are college graduates that won't get to enjoy their last little hurrah on their college campus. And that's just the reality of what we're in now. But this has always been the case where things just don't look like you thought they would look like. I think about my line brother. He finishes his master's this year. May, he was scheduled to walk in May. We had all saved on our calendar, the date knocked off, and now he won't walk, at least in this spring. And so it's just those kind of things. But what happens to you when life just does not seem like it is it is going the way that you thought it would go? I think a perfect example is us moving to Raleigh. It just didn't go the way we wanted to go, and we had all these different kind of things that we had planned, and so we moved to Raleigh, and we decided that we were going to move to Raleigh. As you heard last week about the transition from Raleigh to here, and we're not talking about that, but just that it didn't go the way that we thought it would go. I mean, as you heard, that me applying for jobs and looking for different jobs, and I just knew that I was marketable and that I was going to get this job, but it didn't work out. It took me a while before I got my job, and then my wife was looking into going to a different direction than she actually went to, where she ended up staying in the school counseling, and it didn't work out. And we had all these ideas of moving here, and then while we're doing it, we get the autism diagnosis. And while we're doing it, we lose a pregnancy. And while we're doing it, nothing looks like we thought it would look. And so what do you do when what you planned, what you thought, the thing that you dreamed doesn't look like it? And sometimes that's just the case. It's not going to look like we dreamed. But is what we dreamed more of what the picture we painted, and more than the reality of what it was going to be? What do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes we paint this perfect picture, and we don't consider that there are going to be some stumbling blocks. We don't consider that we're going to trip up sometimes. We don't consider those things because it's just not in the forefront of our mind. Who would paint a picture or create a movie with these stumbling blocks? Why would we do that to ourselves? But that's just the reality of it. That the reality of it is that we are going to run into some stumbling blocks, and we don't know what they are. And as I think about everyone that's just they're literally going through a rough time in life. I'm going to get breakfast for the family. We're going to get it's probably more like brunch, but we're going to get some bagels. And so it is one of those things where you thought you had it figured out, you thought you had it mapped out, and it just doesn't work out that way. What do you do? What do you do when life hands you its butts to kiss. You have these thoughts. You knew that you were gonna go to this college, and then you don't get accepted to this college. You knew that after college you're gonna have this certain job, but you're not getting any callbacks. What do you do when life is just not working out how you planned? And I want to say something motivational. I want to say something encouraging, but first is to kind of accept that it's not going the way it's planned, because the first thing it does is it hits you. It hits you. It hits you in the face, and you have to recover from the hit. Even me, who is encouraging, me who is positive, sometimes it's like punch after punch after punch after punch, and it just doesn't. It is like, man, you get hit here, you get hit there. You apply to this business school, you don't get in, and you apply to this, and it doesn't work out, and you apply for this job, and you just know it. You have it planned out, you have it mapped out, and it does not work. That was what my college career was. It did not work out the way that I thought it was going to work out. So I graduated high school, and I graduated with a 3.0. Nothing crazy, nothing out. And so my dream was to go to Clark Atlanta. I want to go to Clark Atlanta University. And I just remember my dad saying, you keep your B average, and you want to do, we'll get you to school. And this is not a knock at my dad. So I get 3.0, I get the Hope Scholarship that's in Georgia, and then I apply to Clark Atlanta University, and I get accepted. I get accepted to Clark Atlanta, and I'm excited. But then after that excitement hits, after I planned this, I dreamed it, and this is what this is that after that excitement hits, the reality of the dream comes around. That reality of it is that Clark Atlanta is a private school. So with that, Hope is not going to cover it all. Pell Grant's not going to cover it all. So there's loans and things of that nature. And the reality of it is that my family wasn't in a position to be able to pay for school. And at that point, there was so many other schools that I could go to probably that's more affordable. And so I'm thinking, so I applied to Georgia State, I applied to UGA, this and that, but that's not really where I wanted to go. And at the time, they had just switched Georgia State and UGA to the point to where you had to have so many academic electives, and I didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? Like I did pretty well for myself in school, but I just didn't have that. And so what ends up happening is the last minute I started applying. So I applied to this small school that I had never really heard of, Fort Valley State University. Fort Valley State University. And I applied there, and I get in. I mean, it was right around the corner. I get in. I mean, the reality is I had a 3.0, and so it wasn't as if like I wasn't a 3.6. I think I had like a 3.1, 3.2 maybe. It wasn't like this. I wasn't an honors. I didn't graduate with honors, but I did well for myself, a B average in high school. And so I do everything I need to do. Like I had to take placement tests. So I took the placement test. I paid for we paid for the deposit for my room and everything like that. Me and my dad drive up. We do that. Boom, come back, and what ends up happening is I get accepted. And so my mind said, I've never been to Little Georgia. I've never been to Fort Valley, Macon, anything like that. And so it's like, I'm gonna go here for a year, then transfer. I'm gonna go here for 2 years and transfer. So I go there a year, and I'm at Fort Valley State University is in Fort Valley, Georgia. It is it's about 2 hours south of Atlanta, about an hour south of Macon, maybe 45 minutes south of Macon, Georgia. And so I get accepted, and I start off at Fort Valley. If you've never been to Fort Valley, Georgia, it's in the middle of nowhere. It is in the middle of nowhere. Small town. At the time, I haven't been back in a while, so at the time they didn't have a Walmart. Walmart was about 15 minutes in any direction, maybe 20 at the max. You either go to Perry, Georgia Walmart, or Warner Robins. And so I get accepted, and my mindset is, and going in, is that I'm just here for this year, and I'm a transfer. And so that's kind of my mindset. And for the first, I did pretty well my first year. as well as I could do. But I was like, I made friends, but I was trying not to get distracted because I had this goal, I had this dream that I wanted to do. And then what ends up happening, so that's my first semester. So my first semester, and then my second semester, I get there, and there's appointments for SGA, and I get appointed to the SGA as the SGA center. This is me. I had no intention of getting involved in and being involved in anything, because I was just going to school, and then I was going to transfer. And then so I like, well, I'll do 2 years and then I transfer. That would be easy. I do 2 years. Fort Valley's free affordable. I do 2 years, and so I get involved. And what I find myself doing is I begin to fall in love with Fort Valley. And so now my picture begins to change, but I'm okay with the picture changing because it's something that I now want to do. And so I will always be thankful for Fort Valley. Had I not gone to Fort Valley, I'm not sure I would be who I am today, good or bad. And what I mean by that is I'm not sure I'll be the leader that I would be today. I'm not sure that I would have the leadership skills that I had, because I had an advisor and a Dr. Terrence Smith, we call him T. Smitty, that would just put you out there. Hey, I need you to do a welcome. This is 10 minutes before the welcome. Hey, can you do you mind speaking at this, and da-da-da-da. And it thrusted me out of my comfort zone and into leadership, into being out there. I still remember the friends and the connections, and I don't know if my life would have ended where it is now. And I know for a fact that it wouldn't have. So I go there, but then I get so involved in everything else, I don't do what I'm supposed to do and keep my scholarship, my Hope Scholarship. And so my mindset, then I'm trying to figure it out. So I start off there as a business marketing major there, and I transfer this and that. And so I just get bogged down. And I'm committed to my friendships and relationships, but I did not do what I was supposed to do. So I did not have a failing GPA. So I still had like a C+ average, but I did not do what I was supposed to do to keep my Hope Scholarship. So I lose my Hope Scholarship. And once again, understand my family's not in a position to help me, and then the rest would be just taking out loans. And my loans and credit cards just scared me so much. I had like small loans, but I didn't want to take out this loan to be able to go to the school. And so so it ends up, I spent a few years there, and I fall in love with a lot of things. I fall in love, that's where my love for Kappa came about, although I did not do what I was supposed to do to be able to even to really apply myself to that. And so it's nothing, now it seems like nothing is going the way that I planned. I should have stayed, in my mind, I should have stayed to my goal. I was going to go to Clark. I was going to come here, then transfer, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And then I joined the Air Force out of just this need. At first I was going to join the reserves, and then I ended up going active duty. And this is like, so my plan changes. Once again, this is nothing like I pictured it. And so my plan changes, and I end up going to the Air Force in 2006. So from 2006 to 2016, I was in the Air Force, and it was good. It was, but I had to struggle with some things because this was not my plan. And so, but this is how things work. So my original plan was to go to Clark, Atlanta, and then my secondary plan was to go to Fort Valley for a year or two and then transfer. Well, in year 2, I meet a friend of mine. Her name is Cornelia, and she is an AKA, and so she is also happens to be from the area where my wife graduated and went to school with, my now wife. And so they're both AKAs, they're both in the same chapter. And so what ends up happening is they're both in the same chapter, and they end up meeting each other, and they end up friends on Facebook. And so I knew my wife when we were kids. I knew my wife when we were kids. We grew up, we were in New York together. Her dad was in the Army. My dad we just lived there. So we lived upstate New York, Newburgh, New York. And so we're up there. And so I had not seen her for years. I think I seen her one other time, and I talked on the phone one other time. We had not seen each other for years. I think the last time I talked to her, I was like a freshman either a senior in high school or freshman in college. And that's the last time I talked to her. And so, in doing that, like I said, that's the last time I talked to her. And so with that, I would not have reconnected her without Kania, but I would have never met Kania had I not ended up at Fort Valley. And so that is how me and my wife reconnected, because they were in the same chapter back in Kania's hometown, home area, and so the grad chapter. And so they connect, and she sees me on Facebook, and she reaches out, and then it goes from there. But had I not went to Fort Valley, which was not my original plan, me and my wife most likely would not have reconnected. That's just the reality of it is, because in the grand scheme of things, that was our only, if you know Facebook works, that's our only mutual friend. So we connect from there, and so things. So I'm in the Air Force, and so now so I left Fort Valley in 2006. It is now 2010. And some of my plans were in the Air Force, while I was going to the Air Force, to pay off my debt, and I had hospital bills and things of that nature from being at Fort Valley. And this mark right here, this thing on my hand, you can't really see it. There's where I got stitches, right there. I got stitches because I broke a glass in my hand, and I had to get stitches. And I didn't have insurance. I didn't have health insurance. And so, if you've ever not had health insurance, had to go to the emergency room and had to have stitches, and then it got infected, so I had to be in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. If you've never had to do that, if you have had to do that without insurance, you know that my bills were crazy. And so part of it was to be able to pay off my hospital bills. And then another side was to finish what I started at Fort Valley. So 2010 comes, and I'm nowhere close to finishing my goal. And once again, this is not what it looks like. And so 2010 comes, and I go to finish my goals. So I say, man, so I never forget. I was so when you enroll in the Air Force, when you go in the Air Force, you finish basic training. As soon as you go into basic training, you're enrolled into what they call the Community College of the Air Force program. And so the idea is for you to finish with the associate's degree. Well, I finished my associate's degree, and now I'm in line to graduate. Now let me stop putting things limits on it. I was graduating with my associate's degree, and so. I'm graduating, and I'm in line with someone. I'll never forget it. So this is probably, I want to say, June 2010. May or June 2010. And I'm in line with, I think we're either doing a practice or we're actually doing a graduation. I think we're doing a practice. And we're doing a practice, and the guy tells me, it had to be May. I just graduated last week with my bachelor's. And that thing hit me so hard. It hit me so hard because that was my goal, and I felt like that I was not pursuing my goal. So literally that weekend, that day, I leave from there, go to the education office on the base, and I find out, I get some information. I enroll in school. I enroll in Park University. In 2014, March 2014, I finished my degree, my bachelor's degree in social psychology. So it took me 13 years to get a 4-year degree. And let me tell you, I want to talk to you about when plans don't go your way, and how sometimes your pride gets in the way. So it's March, I finished it, and it took me, and so it boggles me because this was not my plan, and this is not how I thought it was gonna be, and it shouldn't have been this way. And so it's now time for graduation, and I don't even want to walk. So first, no, let me put this way. So first, the plan was I paid for my tickets, my plane tickets to go to Missouri, because Park is in Missouri, and so they had a satellite campus on at the Air Force base, and so I had planned to go, and then something happened financially to where it was like something big happened financially to where we needed the money that we were going to use for the trip. The tickets were already paid for, the plane tickets were already paid for, but they're going on the trip, so I didn't end up going. And so I had another option, since I couldn't go to my actual graduation there. They had a graduation on campus that I could have went to. But my mind was like, none of this works to my plan. I don't want to, like, I'm just being consumed by the fact that my plan didn't work, and the fact that I'm being consumed by the guilt that it took me 13 years to get a 4-year degree, and it's eating me up inside. And I didn't want to admit it, but that's what it was. And so I never really walked for my degree because I was embarrassed. But I'm here to tell you that when you get your degree, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but when you get your degree, there's no how long it took you to get. In fact, even when you put on your resume, it's just gonna ask, and the reality, you don't even have to put when you graduated, because I was talking to in HR, you don't want to subject yourself or have a chance that they may age discriminate. So you don't have to say, all you have to do is say that you have your degree. Now, when you turn your transcript in and stuff like that, yes, but the fact is that there's nothing that says it took you 13 years. But in my mind, I'm bogged down in this thing because plans didn't work. But also understanding that social psychology is a major that mixes psychology and sociology. And the reality of it is that where I was at at that time, that degree didn't even exist. So as much as I wanted to go to Clark Atlanta, I didn't go to Clark Atlanta, and I needed to be at Fort Valley so that I could reconnect with my wife and I can grow up as a leader and as a man. But also I got introduced to this fraternity, which I'm a part of now. I grew up as a spiritual leader and things of that nature. I had chances. I had to go to Fort Valley for that. But then I go to the Air Force, and I was able to pay off my hospital bills, and I was able to pay off all those bills. And so, and while I'm in the Air Force, I get to travel, and I get this degree that wasn't even existent before this moment. And so I'm like, look, it didn't go the way I planned, but even after what I achieved, and after I succeeded in this thing, I couldn't even enjoy it because my mind was so bogged down with the plan. So my question now is, do some of our plans handicap us from accepting the blessing that God has given you, but for accepting the blessing of your process? In that, I graduated, I already had a job, I was already in a career, and while I'm not still in that career now, but I'll talk about that too, I was able to be blessed with the opportunity to travel the world because I joined the Air Force. So I literally had to be there. I've been to Egypt, Spain, Germany, and Italy. I've been to a small island called Diego Garcia. I've been to Dubai. I've been to Qatar. I've been to all these places. I've been to Africa, 2 times in Africa. I've been to Iceland. I've been to all these places. This was not my plan. In fact, you also think about how many times people finish school and they finish with debt. I didn't have any. I finished my bachelor's degree with no debt. The little debt that I had, I paid off. All those things, and so, so the Air Force also offered me the opportunity to buy my first house with a low interest rate. All these things but this wasn't my plan. And so sometimes the things that we plan, as much as we plan it, God has something else in store. I'm gonna get the faith in there. God has something else in store. No matter what we plan, He has to move our plans out the way so that His will, His purpose for us can come into fruition. And so that's where we were. And so I finished this thing, and I'm here to tell you that yes, you had a great plan, and no, it's not going the way you planned. But every goal that I set for myself was a God goal. It's just that His plan was different for me. And so maybe some of it was on me. Maybe I can go back and say, maybe I should have done the things that I was supposed to do. I should have and it's not even maybe I should have, but it worked the way that it would work because it was supposed to, I believe. Maybe not supposed to, but it benefited me. That's what it is. Is that because sometimes we pile up our mistakes, and with all our mistakes, and we call it destiny. And I'm not here to say that that's exactly the way it was supposed to work, but it worked out for me. That's the big thing, that it worked out for me. And I'm grateful that it worked out for me. Because from that, I have my wife, and I have a family. From that, I've bought and sold a home. From that, I now have my degree. From that, I paid off my hospital bills. And not to say I don't have bills now and debt now, but it's just but it gave us a good starting point. From that, I learned inside of the Air Force that I liked human resources. From a special duty that was only 4 years, and for 4 years I served as I was kind of like the HR liaison, the personnel liaison for my detachment squadron. And so I did HR actions. I was leave monitor. I was if you will, what would you call it in the civilian world? I was the onboarding person. I handled convalescent leave, or what some would call FMLA. I handled those things. I did employee relations issues, and I was able to learn all this, and I found that I enjoyed HR, which led me to my desire to be, when now, years later, I'm in HR. But in that, I get a certification that also helps me. I have all these things because it didn't work according to my plan. And this is not to say that every mistake is going to lead, but what I'm saying is that don't beat yourself up because it's not working according to your plan. There's someone that's watching this right now that started their degree years ago, and now they're just finishing, and I'm encouraging you to do it. Every goal that I set myself, even up until to Kappa, and that's a totally different thing, where I had to wrestle with the fact that I wasn't able to pledge Kappa in undergrad, and now I'm in I pledged an alumni chapter, and for whatever that means. But the reality of it is that the reality of it is that you're gonna have to deal with whatever it is that's holding you up from one, enjoying your process, accepting your process, and accepting that it's not going your way. I'm trying to figure out how to land this plane, but the reality, the thing is I said in reality a lot. The instructor in me is is rolling in my head, and it's so much that I'm not even touching about this process, because I want to keep this to a certain time limit, because I know we have short attention spans. But I say all this to say that you can have a plan, and you can have a T right out to the T, and it may not work. And it's not even that it may not work, but it may not look how you thought it would look. There are plenty of people across this United States, across this world, to where 2020 looks nothing like they thought it would look like. And because I've been in church, this was supposed to be the year of 2020 vision, perfect vision. And what it makes me think of, and so we say, well, what happened to this? Is supposed to be a year of perfect vision. What happened to this? This is 2020, and from January to March, it seemed like, but now we're in April, and it seems it's nothing like we thought it would look. But we also say that hindsight is 2020, and we may look back on the year 2020. And I'm not being prophetic. This is just me, really just. I'm giving it the idea from God, the thought process from God. But I'm not saying that it's prophetic. This is just me and God's thought as we converse, is that we'll look back on this year, and we will say that this year was good for us. We'll say that we spent more time with our families, and we'll say that we may have saved money on things that we couldn't afford anyway. I'm not saying that everything is going to work out to the T and everything's going to be perfect. What I am saying is that we may look back and say that this year was good for us, and so it really was a year of perfect vision, because hindsight, when we look back in our 2020 vision, look in hindsight, it was good for us. It's a year that we got healthier, we cleaned our house more, we found out we got sick less. So because we cleaned out our house more, we found that we got back to what was more important in our family, just hanging out with our children, instead of being in this rat race. We'll look back and see that companies realize that family is the most important, and that some of these workers could work from home, and that we could save money. We'll look back and see that this benefited us. That is my thought. That is my process. And I think that sometimes when things don't work out the way that we planned, we begin to beat ourselves up. But don't beat yourself up. This may have been good for you. To high school senior, I know that this sucks. And I don't want to brush past the side that it sucks. That you're missing out on prom, you're missing out on football games, basketball games, and baseball games, and track in your final year. This is supposed to be your last hurrah. I don't want to knock that off. But you may look back. I look back, and yes, I remember my prom. I remember who I went to prom. But it wasn't the best time of my life. And it's going to be hard to see that now. To the college senior, some of you got refunds on your housing, and you realize, man, boom, that refund may be the refund that they gave you. They may have gave you a cash refund, maybe the start, maybe a down payment, or something to once you graduate to get into your apartment or to get to that internship. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. As I said, this is not a prophetic proclamation. It's just we're just brainstorming. We're just having a conversation. What is it that you planned that is not going the way that you wanted to? I hope that this gives you some perspective. The fact that it doesn't, while it doesn't always work out the way that it worked out for me, I do believe that it's working. Some people are going to actually now have the time to go to therapy because of this, because now they have telehealth. Some people are going to now decide to eat healthy because of this. This is not what we planned, but just because it's not what we planned does not mean that it's good. That it's not good for us and it's not working for us. Some of us are going to grow in our relationship with Christ. Some of us are going to realize that relationship that we're in is not good for us, and that we can survive without it. This COVID-19 is not what we planned, but it may be the results of it. We don't need COVID-19, but how it has impacted our lives, we may look back and say that it was necessary for us. That hey, what was the turning point in your life? That well, in 2020, I couldn't even go anywhere. I had to deal with me. I hope this blesses you. I hope this helps somebody. I hope that they realize that just because your plans didn't go the way that you wanted them to, doesn't mean that they're no good at all, or that it's too late for you. God bless you. God love you. And remember, never let your independence rob you from your dependence on God. Until next time, thank you for joining in on Conversation with me, Car Conversation with me.